Welcome to the Three Questions webcast series. I'm Wayne Baxter with One Capital Management. At One Capital Management, we develop and implement strategies for our clients which strive to grow, protect, and ultimately distribute their wealth. We do that by offering investment wealth management services. Thank you for taking time to check us out. My clients are often referred to as cross-border clients. Now, why is that? Well, it's because they're either U.S. or Canadian residents who invest in U.S. and or Canadian dollar denominated securities like stocks, bonds, and ETFs. Our process for advising our clients includes an in-depth discovery and diagnostic analysis of their wealth management goals and objectives. And for clients who are nearing retirement or who are already retired, there may be a discussion and analysis about their real estate and financing strategies. On this edition of the webcast, we'll be asking the three questions you should ask about reverse mortgages. Joining me is Janice Cohen. Janice is a Burbank, California-based reverse mortgage consultant with Mutual of Omaha Mortgage. Janice assists senior homeowners who are considering tapping into the equity in their homes to enhance their retirement. Hello, Janice. Thank you for taking time to join us today on the webcast. Great to see you.
Hi, Wayne. Thank you so much for having me today.
Yeah, I've been really excited to have you on with us. I guess we should probably talk a little bit at the beginning here for folks that are listening is who actually qualifies for a reverse mortgage. I mean, there's a lot of confusion. Is it an age situation? Is it a financial question? Like what are the criteria?
So the criteria to qualify is mainly based on age. For one of the programs, a borrower needs to be above the age of 55. And for the FHA program, which is probably the most popular program, a borrower must be over the age of 62.
Okay. So it is age-based, right?
It is an age-based program, yes.
All right. And so this once they hit that age and you go through and do all of your analysis, at that point they can determine whether or not they want to take a lump sum or even just a monthly or annual stipend from their plan. So they have that option.
Exactly. Or they can just leave money in a line of credit should they need it in the future, just to have as an emergency fund.
Okay. This is a huge topic today. I think really, I think what we should do, because I know we have so much to go over, I really would let's just get to our three questions. And I know that's going to provoke us to probably to digress more than once here, but let's get to the three questions that we should ask about reverse mortgages. And the first one I would imagine that most people are going to ask you is, why should I employ a reverse mortgage rather than a traditional mortgage?
Well, that is a great question. And as we age, and as we look more seriously at the prospect of retirement, of course, not only is our income shrinking potentially, but also our unexpected need for money may arise in the future. What I mean by that is that there may be a need in the future for care in the home. There may be a need in the future for, well, really just to spend a little money to enjoy the fruits.
There could be some discretionary spending needs here, like i.e. Maybe a European vacation.
Exactly.
Or an African safari. I have had more than one client, spend $30 some odd thousand on an African safari. So I know exactly what you're talking.
It's expensive, but these are the things that people have worked all of their lives to be able to do. So why put it off? These are things that people should be doing to enjoy their lives. And as we know, not enough people have long-term care insurance. Most people, if you ask them, they'll say, oh, I'll never need it. Or if I do need it, then, I'll worry about it when the time comes. But if they don't have it and they are on track to potentially run out of the money that they do have, and they don't have any money put away for an emergency fund, having a reverse mortgage will allow them to have an emergency fund that they can just have sitting there waiting for them in the event that they need long-term care, and of course use those funds to pay for that. because it's very expensive, as you know, Wayne, here in Los Angeles. I think long-term care begins at about $35 per hour, and that's not taking into account overtime. And if you need 24 hours.
To give you an idea, to your point, the median cost for care in the greater Los Angeles area, I don't think this is an exaggeration, you're looking at $6,000 a month just running out the door here. I mean, that's just to start with. Exactly. So you're absolutely right, which is $72,000 a year.
And if you need full-time round-the-clock care, it's $250,000.
Exactly right.
So it pays to have an emergency fund set aside. You just never know. And many people, they just kind of fly by the seat of their pants. And it's not a good policy when you have this as an option.
I'm certainly not in favor of that, as you can imagine. And we've done some forecasting and analysis work together. And as you know, I subscribe to the theory of, those who fail to plan to fail, or those who fail to plan to fail, which is something that we try to avoid. So doing all the forecasting and analysis in advance, we can figure out if a reverse mortgage strategy could actually be beneficial. So you don't want to wait until it's too late. So ideally the planning should be done first. So, but to have this option, actually it's immensely beneficial. One of the questions I think that, we often see, and I'm going to pose to you, is this: can I do a reverse mortgage if I already have a traditional mortgage in place? Already, I got a mortgage. Am I exempt from being able to take advantage of this program?
That is such a great question. And so often I hear people say, oh, I'd love to do a reverse mortgage, but I have a mortgage on my home. So here's an important thing to understand about reverse mortgages. A reverse mortgage has to be in first position. So what we will do as we go through the process is we will order a payoff of your existing mortgage, and we will actually pay that mortgage off through our process. And at the time of the funding of your loan, your existing mortgage will be paid off, which means that you will not have to make payments every month. That's less money leaving your pocket each month. And you will enjoy the benefit of having, more of your income remain in your bank account for you to use for enjoyable things rather than making a mortgage payment each month, which of course, everyone who has a mortgage, most people who have a mortgage are making payments each month. And that is something that can be optional when you have a reverse mortgage.
So you could actually have like a two-step phase here. You could basically implement the reverse mortgage, pay off the existing mortgage, and begin deferring your mortgage payments. And maybe you don't immediately need to take a withdrawal from the reverse mortgage plan. You could defer out maybe multiple years to a point where before you really have to dip into the capital. This is just a way of deferring some costs.
And I love that you notice that, because many people feel a crunch every month. And once we've paid off their existing mortgage and they no longer have payments that they're required to make, then they feel like they've got some breathing room. But Wayne, here's what I love the most about the reverse mortgage. If you pay off your mortgage, and let's say, for instance, you have an additional $200,000 available to you in a line of credit, and this is the really amazing thing, that line of credit will grow each year at the same rate that borrowed money is charged interest. So if you think about it, if you start out with a $200,000 line of credit that's available to you and you don't need it, and you're just going to leave it in place, there is a real benefit to leaving that line of credit in place, because next year that line of credit could be $220,000. Right. So you can actually reap the benefits of the interest that you can realize on the line of credit. Now, we don't call this money that's growing on the line of credit, we don't call it interest. It's not interest. What I like to compare it to is, imagine that you received a credit card in the mail, you began using it, and your credit limit was $15,000. And a year into your having this credit card, you receive a letter from the credit card company saying, Wayne, you're such a great customer. You use your credit so responsibly. We are going to increase your line of credit
more than once.
to
That's a real thing.
$18,000.
Yes.
Right. It is a
Yes.
real thing. So think of it that way. You start out with a $200,000 line of credit. A year later, it's going to be greater. As you said, maybe 212,000, 220,000, all depending on what the interest rate is that is being charged on borrowed money. So there's a huge benefit to having that line of credit and leaving it in place.
So it's a great strategy for someone getting close to retirement or in retirement, and they want to sort of manage their cash flow a little bit more efficiently. They can basically implement a reverse mortgage, basically get rid of their mortgage payments and just defer payments, and they don't even have to tap into it. And their access to capital actually grows over time to the point where they actually need it, which could be 5 years down the road or longer.
Absolutely.
Great strategy. All right. So I have so the third question is really, we are problem solvers. So here is a challenge that people have. One of the things, especially here in California, we encourage our clients to have revocable trusts and put their property and their liquid investments in the trust. So that poses a problem, which is this: if I have my my home in my revocable trust, is it eligible for a reverse mortgage? In other words, does that trust end up becoming a barrier to get access to this program?
It's a great question. And the answer is a resounding yes. I hear that question all the time. My mom's house is in a trust. My house is in a trust. Are we eligible? So I love when people tell me they have a trust and their home is in a trust, because we know that at the end of the day, when mom or dad is no longer here, it is so much easier to administer a trust than to go through probate. And when you have when you do a reverse mortgage application, as long as it is what we call like a plain vanilla trust, and our borrower is the beneficiary of the trust, we are able to do a reverse mortgage. And I sleep better at night knowing that my client is going to, or my client's heirs are going to have an easier time at the end of the day settling the estate of my borrower, and that he or she will be able to remain in their home for the rest of their lives, which is what they really want. And there will be no doubt at the end who will be able to settle this estate, list this house for sale, go through the process of wrapping up mom and or dad's wishes and making sure that things go smoothly. So a trust is a huge benefit.
So it's a good idea to have a discussion with the trustee or the fiduciary, whatever the case may be, and make sure that they're aware of this structure, so that when the time does come, they'll know how to basically pay down this and finish off the mortgage.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Right. It's a terrific way to hold the ownership of your house.
Want to make sure everybody's on the same page. One of the things that's been really clear in preparing for our webcast here today is this: that there are so many strategies to pick from. I mean, I must admit, I was kind of eyebrow raising for me to see how many strategies there are. And I'm going to just list a few here. There's something called a jumbo reverse mortgage. There's reverse mortgages for purchase. There's jumbo for purchase. There's reverse mortgage financing. There's proprietary reverse mortgages. There's a HECM program, and there's a HECM program purchase program. And then there's a HECM to HECM refinancing. I mean, I couldn't get over all the different. I'm like, holy smokes. So, okay, so let's be fair here. I mean, we could spend probably 3 hours on this and probably lose everybody. So let's highlight, if you could, one of those I just outlined, one of them that you think our audience would definitely like to know about.
Okay. All of them have huge benefits, but I want to talk a little bit about the proprietary jumbo reverse mortgage, because I do so many of them here in Southern California. And the reason is probably obvious. The homes are worth enormous amounts of money, far more than in
for
other
a
parts
home
of
to be
the
worth
country.
$1.5 million and up here. That's a sort of baseline.
Easy, right.
Yeah.
So I want to share with you something. Obviously, you're familiar with the concept of long-term capital gains taxes and
Yes.
what happens, the step up in basis upon death. And so I did a reverse mortgage recently for a couple who bought their house in 1970. They've been married over 60 years. They bought their house in 1970 in Beverly Hills for about $170,000, which of course at that time was a lot of money. And probably everyone said to them, "You're crazy for spending this amount of money." But now, fast forward to 2023, that home is now worth $5 million.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they're both happily living in their home. And so you can just imagine if they did decide to sell their home, the taxes, the long-term capital gains taxes alone would be well over $1 million. They love their home.
Yes, at least.
Minimal. They love their home. They want to stay in their home. They wanted to put in a pneumatic elevator so that they could utilize both floors of their home. And they wanted to pay for care for the husband who has Parkinson's. And so they needed to access some money without selling their home. So they did the reverse mortgage. And in doing so, they freed up a little over $2 million, most of which they're leaving in the line of credit. They took out a little bit of a lump sum to do the elevator and to also hire people to, they actually had a bill racking up with a care provider for the in-home care that husband had been receiving. So they now have the funds to pay for care, to make the home accessible for the husband, and they've avoided paying long-term capital gains taxes.
And also
so
avoid having to pay the ongoing cost of a traditional line of credit.
Exactly. So when people think about, should I do a reverse mortgage or should I do a HELOC at my bank? People can potentially qualify for a HELOC, but it means monthly payments.
Absolutely
you have to make monthly payments on those HELOCs. On a reverse mortgage, of course, the monthly payment could be coming to you if that's the payment plan that you elect. So there is, and also another difference between a HELOC and a reverse mortgage are the income requirements. When we look at the income requirements for our prospective borrowers, in most cases, Social Security income, believe it or not, is sufficient for our purposes because we're only looking to see, can they afford to heat their house, pay their taxes, keep up their homeowners insurance? Can they put food on the table? These are basic needs. We don't want to see a reverse mortgage go to someone and set them up for failure because they really can't afford to maintain their monthly bills. And if they do have a shortfall in income, we are able to set up a little impound account for them and pay their taxes and their homeowners insurance when those bills become due on their behalf, thereby keeping them safely in their home, allowing them to not have to worry about the taxes and the homeowners insurance, which can be a stumbling block for people as they age.
Well, cash flow planning is a big thing, as you know, and like one of the things I really valued about working with you is that we worked on a case here a little while ago where we actually did a forecast for a couple in Arizona, as you recall, who was figuring out basically whether or not what their strategy should be in comparison to self-insurance, long-term care, or taking advantage of a reverse mortgage. And we were able to forecast and actually inflate the reverse mortgage payments every year And we're able to give the client some really good options, understanding what their options were. And that was a great job that we did together on that one. And I think the real benefit is just being able to plan in advance. So you don't have to wait till you get into a crisis mode here before implementing a reverse mortgage strategy. I think the idea is examine in advance if a program like this can help and when to start using it.
Exactly. And what I love about Mutual of Omaha, aside from everything, but what I love, one of my favorite things is that we have software that allows us to do these projections. We can work in tandem with financial planners, CPAs, and we can illustrate for them and thereby their client to show what is this going to look like now? What will it look like in 5 years, in 10 years? How is this going to benefit you? Because that is what we want. We want there to be a real benefit for people. And if they have other options, then I'm all in favor of exercising other options too, or instead of. I'm agnostic when it comes to people doing the reverse mortgage or not doing it. I just want people to feel good about their choices and to know that this is there as an option for them should they need it.
Janice, we're here to basically provide clarity and guidance. That's what we do, solve problems. No, we have included your contact information on the screen here. That said, what is the best way? Our audience has been listening to us. We give them a lot of information today about reverse mortgage. I'm virtually certain you're going to be having people contacting you looking for more information. What is the best way for them to contact you?
Well, very conveniently, I have a toll-free phone number. It's 888-740-9573, or they can reach me at my email, jcohen, COHEN, at mutualmortgage.com.
That's right. And that's what we have on the screen. And again, I want to really thank you for taking time. This has been tremendous. Janice, you're awesome. You know it. And love being around you, and look forward to keeping in touch and working with you in the future. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much for having me, Wayne. This was terrific.
Janice Cohen is a Burbank, California-based reverse mortgage consultant with Mutual of Omaha Mortgage. Great guest, and can't thank her enough for joining us. I look forward to bringing you the 3 Questions webcast, and I hope you find them educational and informative. Please consider liking this video and subscribing to our YouTube channel. And to receive notification of when our latest webcast has been posted, please click on the notifications bell. Lastly, to schedule an online Zoom consultation with me to discuss your wealth management needs, please click on the link in the description box below, www.onecapital.com/meetwithwayne. Thank you, and see you soon.